What is up? What is up? What is up, guys? It is Rudy Henderson, aka your resident nerd here at JAG Gaming, Comic, and Movie News. Today, I'm very excited to bring you a video about DC's The Batman. This movie is going to be coming out on June 25th of 2021. It's going to be directed by Matt Reeves, and it's going to be starring Robert Pattinson. So, basically, I'm going to be getting into the plot synopsis of the movie, my thoughts and opinions on the movie, and some of the casting choices that we had for the movie. So without further ado, let's get it started. So what I'm essentially going to be going over here right now, and I have the internet browser pulled up for you guys here, is this is going to be the alleged. I say alleged because there's only so much you can take the truth for with a lot of these things, and you have to take everything that's reported with a grain of salt. So this is the alleged plot synopsis. I'm going to go over who the alleged villains are for this movie, and then I'm going to go over some of the castings that they have made public already, give my opinion on where I think the story is going to go, what I think is going to happen, how I think the movie is going to be in general. So the first thing I want to get into is the fact that this is not an origin story. No more seeing Martha die, no more pearls hitting the ground. That's a good thing. This is going to be the beginning of a young Batman's career, and this is the alleged plot synopsis right here. And it's saying that the Batman will explore a detective case. When people start dying in strange ways, Batman must go deep into the dark world of Gotham to find clues and solve the mystery slash conspiracy connected to Gotham City's history and criminals. In the film, all of Batman's rogues gallery are already out there and active, similar to the comics and animated shows and movies. The film will have multiple villains as they are all suspects. That's great news to me because one of the best Batman content that you can go out and watch is the Batman animated series from the 90s. Quite possibly the greatest Batman associated piece of media that you can ever watch. It represents all the villains accurately. It represents Batman very accurately. So hearing that is very nice. I also like the fact that it's not an origin story. We know how Batman became Batman. We don't really need to see Batman become Batman again. We just saw that in Batman vs Superman. We just saw it in the Batman trilogy. You see it in TV, all that. So now that we know a little bit about the plot here, I'm going to go over here to this tab that I have open and go over who the villains are rumored to be. So the villains are rumored. Sorry, I got to get that out of here. The villains are rumored to be Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler, as I get down to him here, Firefly. Firefly is an interesting choice because Firefly isn't really brought up in a ton of media. Firefly was last seen in like the Gotham TV show and is portrayed by a female, which I thought was a very bold choice. I think she did a very good job in portraying that character. Essentially an arsonist, not a huge villain. If you played the Batman like Arkham games, you've dealt with Firefly before, blowing things up, you having to catch them. Two-Face. This is an interesting casting choice because it gets into something and a theory that I have that I'll get into a little bit later. And then you got the Mad Hatter, who, once again, interesting choice because you've never seen him on camera, and that would be the last of the villains. So you're looking at, you got one, two, three, four, five, six confirmed villains. There are six confirmed villains, and that's not even saying that we know who the big bad villain of this movie is. As I read in that plot synopsis, it says that people are dying in mysterious ways and that all of these villains could be suspects. That does not mean that they are the actual person who is doing the killing, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later when it comes to my personal opinion of what I think this movie might be going or what's happening. So now I'm going to get into the cast. So I'm going to go right over here to the Hollywood Reporter. If you guys don't know what the Hollywood Reporter is, it is a very, very reliable site when it comes to movie news and things associated with film. These are the two of the first two names that have come out as far as casting other than Robert Pattinson for the Batman. And it's going to be Jeffrey Wright, ironically here on the right, who most recently has been in the show Westworld, a really good hit show for HBO. I suggest you go out and watch it if you're really into sci-fi and things of that nature. I believe it's a little bit of a slow burn, but it is worth the watch. And everyone knows who this guy on the left is. That's Jonah Hill. So Jonah Hill from Moneyball, from Superbad, from The Babysitter, from whatever you can think of, he's probably been in it. He's an Academy Award nominee. He is a really good actor, but he can also be very funny. So that gives you a couple choices. So the interesting part about this is Jeffrey Wright has already sort of been confirmed to be Commissioner Gordon. Bold choice. Gordon's always been white in comic books and things of that nature, other media, black guy. I don't have a problem with that. As long as race is not essential to that character as a person, I don't mind you switching a character from white to black or black to white or Spanish or to Asian or what have you. If it's not something that's core to the character, like obviously if you had the Black Panther and you came out and you told me that he was going to be played by Jake Gyllenhaal, I'd have a problem because the whole thing about the Black Panther is he's a black man from Wakanda located in Africa. That's a big deal. You see what I mean? So if as long as it's not something like that, I don't see really a problem with you switching race on a character. But the interesting here to me is Jonah Hill. So Jonah Hill is interesting because he's been rumored to play one of two characters. He's been rumored to play either the Riddler or the Penguin. My personal opinion, my personal guess, once again, I don't want you guys to take this to the bank. I don't want you guys to run off and say, hey, well, Rudy said that Jonah Hill. No, don't do that. Jonah Hill, in my opinion, I think he's playing the Penguin. I think that he has the perfect body structure for it, the correct height, the right demeanor. I think that he would nail that role as the Penguin. I just really see him as the Penguin. If he's the Riddler, I'm sure he could get that too. We know that he has the quirkiness and the comedy chops to do something like that. I just sort of envision my Riddler to be a little bit different than someone from Jonah Hill. But again, we can't really judge characters before they even get a chance to portray themselves. So those are the two villains that he's been rumored to play. Other than that, I just really think that these are two really solid castings. When we first found out that Robert Pattinson was going to be the new Batman, I was like everyone else. I was upset. The guy from Twilight, come on, no way. And I thought about it. He's been in a lot of movies since Twilight. We have to give the guy a shot. He's been in Academy Award nominated movies. The old director of the last Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan, has come out and personally said he thinks that it's a perfect choice for the role of Batman. So I'm going to give Robert Pattinson a chance. I'm going to wait till a trailer comes out or a first look at him in the Batman suit, something of that nature. Another casting decision that's sort of been floating around out there is Andy Serkis. So if you don't know Andy Serkis, I'm going to pull him up right here. He's right here. He plays Ulysses Claw in Black Panther. He also played Caesar in Planet of the Apes. He does a lot of motion capture work. He was rumored to possibly be playing the Penguin, but then another report broke that it couldn't be the Penguin because of the character details. So he may be playing a character like Mad Hatter. If he plays Mad Hatter anything like he played Ulysses Claw, 100%. I love it. I love it. I love it. He's a great actor. He's directed before. I think that this is another solid casting decision. The four people that they have attached to this movie already are very solid choices. And don't be surprised, guys, if you keep getting more and more news about this movie, about these characters, because this movie is going to start filming here at the beginning of next year. It has to come out in June of 2021. So they're getting their cast together right now so they can start that filming process. So we still need a Catwoman. We still need a Two-Face. We still need whoever the main villain is going to be. So with that being said, I'm going to more so get into who I think some of the main villains can be, my opinion of everything right now. So my opinion of this is that I really like the casting decisions. I really like the director, Matt Reeves. He directed Cloverfield. He directed 10 Cloverfield Lane. He's a very creative director. I think that he can nail the tone, the grittiness that you want. 10 Cloverfield Lane was actually a very good movie to me, and it was centered around essentially a couple of rooms. You didn't really go anywhere in that movie, but it had this dense, very tense feeling to it the entire movie, and that's an art. That's a skill to be able to create a movie that has that amount of tension. So I believe in what Matt Reeves is doing. Second of all, I will say that I am very excited to see the detective aspect of Batman. I think a lot of the time we get so wrapped up in seeing all the villains that Batman has or wanting to see him kick people's butt and see the gadgets that we forget that Batman is literally labeled the greatest detective alive when it comes to the comic book universe. So I would love to see him getting into some of this detective work, talking to some of these villains, interacting with some of these villains in more of a kicky, punchy sort of way. I think that that's a good way to go about this movie. I like that it's not an origin story. I'm liking everything that I'm hearing about the Batman. So I have two ideas when it comes to what this movie could be about with the six villains and the mysterious killer. There's two ideas that come to mind. I automatically think of DC's Hush, which is a graphic novel about Batman with a villain named Hush who hides behind the scenes orchestrating the takedown of Batman. He works with the Riddler in that comic material, and they released an animated film not too long ago with Hush in it. But he works with the Riddler to use all these other villains to sort of go against Batman to try and knock him down a peg. There's a twist in that. I'm not really going to get too much into that. I can make a Hush video later on if that's something that you guys would want. But that's one plot line that I think they could go with. I also believe that they could be going with Batman the Long Halloween. And I say that because the director has already come out and said that this is going to be a very young Batman at the beginning of his career. In the comic books, there's a comic book called Frank Miller's Batman Year One. Obviously, that's Batman in the first year of crime fighting. The Long Halloween is like a sequel to that, so you could call it year two, maybe year three. And the synopsis behind that is basically that people are dying in very mysterious ways on holidays. There's a villain named Holiday who is essentially sending Batman clues from his cell in Arkham Asylum on how to catch him. And you see the full rogues gallery in this comic material, but it's also the origin of how Two-Face comes around. That's why it's interesting that Two-Face is in this movie. One last sort of afterthought thought that I might have: when Ben Affleck was still on the project as far as directing the new Batman movie, he was going to go with the villain as being Deathstroke. I think that this is still a very strong possibility. People forget Deathstroke is a paid assassin. He does kill people. This could be some sort of scheme by someone behind the scenes paying Deathstroke to take people out in Gotham. It could be higher ranking people, high society people, taking them out. Batman is going, questioning all of his other villains, finds out that it's Deathstroke, and we might have a huge showdown at the end. Again, none of these are confirmed. None of these have been said out of the mouth of the actors or the director. I have seen no trailers. I have no inside information. This is just as a Batman fan, I believe that those are three possibilities for where this storyline could be going. All in all, I'm very optimistic about the future of this movie. I think that DC has been getting it right here recently with Wonder Woman, with Aquaman, with Shazam. They're focusing on making movies right now that only focus on themselves instead of trying to create a bigger universe and copy what Marvel did. And I think that they're having more success in doing that. You know, a week from now, literally 1 week from today, we get Joker, and I think it's going to be another hit for DC. So it's good to see them on a roll right now. You're going to have Joker at the beginning of next year. We get Birds of Prey. After Birds of Prey, we're going to get Wonder Woman 2. Then the following year, we get The Batman in the Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, in which I'll be making a separate video on that because they already have had their table read, their cast is already set. James Gunn has put out some media for that. But other than that, guys, comment below. Let me know. What do you think about The Batman? Do you think this is going to be a good movie? Are you excited for it? Do you think DC's finally turning things around? Anything, questions for me, anything. If you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell for more content. And as always, keep it sexy.